What's going on? What's going on? So this is going to be one of these type of videos where, it's me like this right now, but I'm going to take my face off of here. I just wanted y'all to see, me. I don't know where I'm gonna put this in the video or whatever, but I might put this towards the end of the video that I'm going to do right now. And so I'm just going to answer these questions. So the purpose of this video, um, is me just opening up, and I'm just being honest, being, hey, this is just me talking, because this is going to be one of my last videos for a while. And so I am just pretty much, I'm keeping it real, keeping it a buck. And so and I'm going to explain, my reasoning and everything else. But the first question is, do I feel like I accomplished my goal? Well, I guess you would have to know what my goal was to begin with, right? And so I had a few goals with this project. So this project that I've been working on. And so which is the project that I've been working on is my book. Okay, the book that I've been writing for 10 plus years now. And don't think when I say 10 plus years, please don't think it's just been hand to paper writing for 10 plus years. No, in this 10 years, life has been, life has lifed. Right now I'm in a good spot. I really am. But throughout my journey process, major things did happen. Like I moved to where I'm at now. And so, that was all the way back in end of 2015, going into 2016. So that's a major, event for me, and I'm talking about for me. I'm not comparing myself to nobody else. I'm talking about for me. Um, and so that's a major life event. And, so it took a little time, but no matter what, I always came back, I always came back to, my project, to what I had been focusing on. And the videos that you see, the videos that that I'm showing you, the videos all on my playlist that I've developed and made public for you. That is all from my book. My book is 19 chapters, 1,451 pages. And I'm sure, because I'm not going to stop working, I'm just going to stop posting videos. I'm getting ready for, my next venture. And that's I'm taking a deep dive into foundational Black Americans, and the natives, getting that all together. And then I'm gonna start presenting that. But I always came back. I never gave up on myself. I never gave up on my work, never gave up on my project. I know that this is meant to be something, because, to be honest, so I have my work, right? I have it saved on a floppy disk, or not a floppy disk, but like one of those little drives. I have it saved on the drive, right? And so since then, I've saved it on a few different drives, but the time period that I'm talking about, because that's been recent, that's been recent, but all the way up until that point, which is probably about 8 years, I have lost my USB drive that had my book on there. And I've left it in, I left it in an ex's car one time. Well, not an ex, but, because that's a different story, but not an ex. It's just somebody that, I knew. But anyway, I left it in a car, got it back. I've lost this thing a few different times, and I've gotten it back each time. So that's how I know that, that's just a sign. And me, I take things, signs, synchronicities and stuff like that. And so that's just a sign for me that this is important. This was something that I was supposed to do, and I've done that. And what was I supposed to do? I learned the history of our people. I learned the history, the truth of our people, where we come from. And I proved that black people are the real Jews. And my goal and my mission was, it started off as, cause I'm from a big church family. I come from a big church family in a very small city where, two big families came together and they mix and intermingle with each other. And so, it's kind of like everybody know everybody. But my grandfather was a great man. You know, he was a great man. This was my grandfather. This was my grandfather. My grandfather, this one, he is Cherokee. Cherokee, and I'm sure some Negro up in there too. But this is my grandfather. He, Dr. Reverend H.V. Savage, and I love my grandfather. Very proud of him. He was a good man. He wasn't a perfect man. He was not a perfect man, but he was a good man. My grandfather started a soup kitchen ministry because he found a white man digging in his garbage, trying to eat food out of his garbage can. And so my grandfather started his ministry. I'm not associated with his ministry or anything like that. And so my grandfather, he's very known in the city. I like to say that I remind me of my granddad, because my grandfather, he would tell it like it is. Like he'll put you on blast. Like he did not care. Like my grandfather was not to be played with, and everybody in the city knew that. But so learning the truth, learning the truth was very important to me, because I believe, since I didn't know this then, this is something that I know now. And this is something that I believe. Every black family, every real native, the real natives, like the dark ones, the foundational black Americans, the indigenous Americans, every family was given a guide or a quote unquote prophet, or that was given us a peculiar person. This person was, probably deemed as weird, or it's always the black sheep. So I'm the black sheep in my family. I'm the one, I don't go, with the flow. I'm not the one that, oh, let's not talk about that. I'm not that type of person. I'm gonna tell it like it Ti is. Always been this way. Always been real. And ain't nothing phony about me. And ain't nothing, fake about me. And so, when I came into the truth, you know, that's when I found out uh, how much disrespect my family had for me. I'm just keeping it real. It was by me learning the truth. Because see, the type of family that I come from, they like the green leaves. They make the green leaves, to me, they make them look like angels. But if you ever seen that Tyler Perry show, The Greenleafs, that's the kind of family that my aunts and my uncles are cool. I think good things about my uncles. Are they perfect? Man, no. Is any fan perfect? No. That's why we need a savior. So, but my aunts are, especially, they can be very messy, um and so when I started learning the truth, I was met with a lot of, who do I think I am? They can't believe that, it was me, but y'all, I am telling you no lies. Like when I was in Toledo, Ohio, I was one of the first people talking about black people being the real Jews. I was one of the first people. The only person that I saw um, that was kind of lightweight talking about what I was talking about was this guy named Timothy Israel. And I'm not talking about my cousin, because I have a cousin, but I have a cousin by the name of Ira, and last time I heard he was, I don't know, but it was me and this dude named Timothy Israel talking about black people being the real Jews. And I come from a big church family. I keep telling y'all that. So everybody know, because I'm Reverend H.B. Savage's grandson, And if they don't know, they know my last name. They might not know me personally, but they know my last name. And, in my city, if you a savage, then, it's only one. We have some white savages too, but and our family know them, but they white. And it's no relation to them. But yo, the same stuff that you will view on my channel is the same stuff that I've been posting on Facebook for years. For years. When it comes to tithes being food, when you find out the truth about tithes being food, when you accept it from somebody that you like, don't forget, I was the one that you didn't like, but I told you first that tithes was food. I have a few cousins. I don't know what they doing now, or how they are now. God speed to them, praying for them. But out of my family, I was the first. I was the first to start talking about black people being the real Jews. I have a cousin that's I believe he's in a camp right now, but I always say when he was rapping, I was penning. I was penning my book. I was writing my book. Okay. I came into the truth around 2013. And I started with Illuminati stuff and Hollywood scene because I was a professional dancer. And to be honest, I would always get auditions, and I was talented. I had a few opportunities, but those opportunities always came with like some form of casting couch, what y'all all seeing that's rolling out now in the public. It always came with some, and I may be in what I am, which is I ain't been anything within the last 2 years because I've been celibate. But nobody is going to make me do anything that I don't want to do, especially with somebody who I don't want to do it with. I will say no thank you to the opportunity, and I will skedaddle my little ass home. Excuse me. And that's what happened a lot of times. There was a lot of times where, oh, you have the look. You have the look, and, you have the charisma. You can, I want you to audition for this. But The look always got in the way. I'll just keep it like that. And so, you know, so that's what kind of pushed me down the rabbit hole of learning everything that I learned, and it's like I said, it's crazy because I see now, like I said on one of my last videos, you have, one female rapper going around and calling out everybody else, talking about how she's a child of God, that's a crock of shit. Okay? Because she must have forgot about her demonic ritual that she did at the Grammys the night that Whitney Houston died. So, I just find it very funny that she's calling out everybody else when she's done the same. She took the same oaths as they took. This is a woman that has broken records, records. And so, and my opinion is, she does not like the LGBTQIA community like, the LGBTQIA loves her. Okay? She don't even like. All right? And I say that because the way she came into the scene, she lied. She lied about being a lesbian. I knew that Levitical priesthood woman, because that's where she come from. She come from the Levitical priesthood. I knew that she was strictly dickly. I knew she was. I knew she wasn't no lesbian, and she wasn't down with that. I knew it. You could just look at she looked too she looked too like, I don't know. She just has this aura about her. Like, she don't play that. And so she looked like a family type of woman. Like, and that's what she has. She has her family. And so, and that's fine. But I don't like the lie. And I don't like the using of the community. And I don't like how the community is so dumb that they cannot recognize that. And they will continue this cycle of abuse, of being used by people, namely heterosexual people. So, but anyway, that is what it is. Started learning a lot about Hollywood. This is why you will hear, like, I have people that I do like, I listen to my music, like, for instance, example, I like Beyonce. I will listen to a Beyonce song. Hey, whatever. But guess what? I have not been to a concert since Destiny's Child. I haven't been to a concert since not Destiny's Child. They opened up for TLC. And I keep saying that. I've said that on a few videos now. Okay? I haven't been to a concert. I ain't spent no money. I mean, that's just because it's just me and the Most High. My money has to go towards my bills. I don't got time to be out at the Renaissance tour or the Cowboy Carter tour. Beyonce love you down, but I don't got it. And I'm not ashamed to say that. I've always said I'm not a quote unquote cashy type of person. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like nice things, but baby, I'm not about to sacrifice my life and risk limb to, for tickets to go see a celebrity. I'm just not going to do that. And even though, do I think Beyonce is worth it? Yes, I do. But I'm not about to waste my money on that. And she's not a waste, but I'm saying that would be a waste for me because I have bills. So, brother got bills, okay? I ain't got time for that. And that's why another reason why I'm doing this, I'm just doing a freestyle talking because I wanted people to actually get to know me, get to know me. I am what you see. What you see on the camera, that's me off the camera. I don't have any friends, and I say that proudly. I was a man of many friends, but friends will, at least for me, I can only speak for me. Friends will lead you down a bad road if you ain't careful. Okay? Friends will get you caught up in stuff that you don't need to be caught up in. And that's just how I feel. Okay? But anyway, and I've already talked about, my views on friendship and stuff like that. I talked about that openly and candidly in my last chapter of my book. So I've already, I've already spoken about it. And so I just feel like I wanted to be known how I came into the truth. That's what I was talking about. So came into the truth. I was learning about the Illuminati and stuff like that, and I was just like, man, like, boom, this is it. I don't know, if Brother Yash Qaraar, I don't know where he at, but man, if he ever see this, thank you, brother. I think everybody need to give a round of applause for this brother Yash Qaraar, man, because he been in the game. So when I came in 2013, this brother was hot. Like, and he's, everything he said is coming to pass, whether we like it or not. And on my videos, I've shared one of his videos. One of his, man, I won't forget the everything this guy told me, man. And everything that I learned from him about Hollywood, the industry, and everything else. It's all real. It's so true, And I've been talking about it in my videos, and that's one of the reasons that makes me like want to take a break too, because it's like um prophets and people like me, man, prophets and people like me, we don't we I ain't gonna say like we're supposed to last long, but from what I get from all of this, it's not, like all the disciples, the prophets, you know what I'm saying? They pretty much left up out of here. It wasn't long for them. They didn't have long lives. They didn't, so, and I just feel like all the greats, man, is like, they not ongoing. Like how some of these, and it's no disrespect, if this ever, gets big or whatever, please, I ain't, like for instance, like a Funky Dineva. Everybody know Funky Dineva, he has longevity. Real profit. What I'm trying to say is real prophets don't have longevity like that. They come, they say what they have to say, and then they abominos. They out of here, and that's kind of how I wanted it to be. And I'm not trying to compare myself to Funky Dineva. I never could, because we not in this, I don't do the things that he do. And from the content that I watched of his, he don't talk about the things that I talk about. But I'm just using him as an example because everybody know who he is, or have at least heard of him. I never wanted to be a Funky Dineva. I never wanted to be, you know, I never wanted to be, or even like a Don Lemon, for instance. I love Don Lemon, um, and but I never wanted to be like that. I didn't want my platform to be like that. That's why I don't do live videos. I do recorded videos because and none of my videos are monetized. I have not made a single penny off of none of my videos. So, I want that to be known too. I never made no money or big bucks and was not looking to. I wasn't looking to make any money off of this. This was something that I had to do, and I agreed to do it, and I've done it. And I'm not done. I'm not saying that I'm done. You know what I'm saying? But I am saying that I am taking a break for a while because I have another section to work on and get together and come back and present that information. And so um, I have tried to get my book published. I've documented everything. I can show you Facebook posts of me sharing conversations that I've had with people, but People do not want to go up against those ill-ish people. They don't. They don't want to go up against that, you know. I've met with at least 2 different publishing companies, and the one, well, I met with 3 of them, and the one, they said, we don't care, you know. Yeah, let's get this out there. The only thing is, we can't talk about you can't talk about the child molestation, because when I was a kid, I was molested. And so they said I couldn't talk about that. And then the other 2 companies, one being Ex Libris, and there was another one, I can't remember their name, but they wanted me to change, you know, the tone of my book, and they wanted me to change all of this different stuff, and I wasn't doing that, you know. So that's why I decided to start putting my videos on YouTube. You know, this was never about views or likes or anything like that. You know, I already came into this knowing that I was going to be shadow banned by YouTube. I already knew that because of what I talk about, you know. And we see that these social media platforms are biased. We can see it, you know. And my message to them is, you know, when they're on their way out of here, you know, it's because, for instance, you know, like YouTube forgot about the little guys. YouTube forgot about what made YouTube great. It was the content creators like me, original content creators. I am an original content creator. Okay, on some of my videos, yes, I might use other people's music. Like before these videos, I have videos of me talking about my oils and I got music playing in the background. But, you know, outside of that, everything else is mine. I'm a original content creator. And now, you know, because Hollywood is failing, now you got all these celebrities and all these politicians, which is, I'm not talking about Jasmine Crockett because I do like her. But now you got all these people, and Don Lemon, not talking about them, but now you got all these other people coming over here, you know, to YouTube trying to, you know, start platforms. And I remember when they talked down about, you know, YouTube people and, you know, talking about they wasn't real media personalities and stuff like that. I remember that. And now look, they on YouTube. Ain't that about a bitch? But anyway, so came into the truth. This was around 2013, 2014. Started learning about the Illuminati. And then around this time, I started going to church heavy. Like I was really trying to change my life. I talk about this in my book, in the last chapter of my book. I was really trying to change my life, and, you know, I was hungry. I was looking for it, you know. I was really crying out to God. Like I wasn't just for show. I was really crying out to God, like to help me. And I came across a video that changed my life. I always talk about this video, but it was biblical Israelites were black and still are today. And the video has been private, but before it went private, I was able to record it. So if you ever do go through my videos, you'll see it. It's on one of my videos. But that video changed my life. And after that, I came across another video that pretty much cemented everything that I had seen from that first video. And it was Brother Yerushalayim. And everybody know the video that I'm talking about because they all seen it. And from his Drawback Jacob series. Man, that video changed my life. Okay? And so I just started learning. And I was learning so much so fast. To be honest, the first camp I came across, and before I go into this, I never joined a camp. Never joined a camp. Never joined a church. Was never affiliated with any Hebrew camps, any Hebrew churches, or in any Hebrew people, it's always been me by myself physically. Physically here by myself. So when people want to say I'm in a cult, I be cracking up because it's like, you can't be in a, well, you can be in a cult. You can practice occultism by yourself, but actual cult, you need more than one person. Okay? Somebody gotta be doing the seance while somebody, has to be administering the drink. That's just a little joke that I always say when people try to say, "Oh, you were in a cult." Like, how? I'm by myself. There's nobody here. Like, there's nobody. And so, started coming into the truth. Started learning about, being a Hebrew Israelite and our people and everything else. And man, my family was my biggest enemy. My family was my biggest enemy. Haters. Nothing but haters. And the sad part about it is, not everybody in my family was haters. Like, I even had uncles that would be like, everything you saying is true. Everything is you saying is correct. My Uncle Felix, God rest his soul. Rest in peace, Uncle Felix. Man, he used to always inbox me and tell me how he loved how I talk. Everything I'm saying is the truth. So, and then I've heard from different uncles on my mom's side, even, yeah, man, that word, and I do. I know my word. And so that's how I was able to produce everything that I was able to produce. And so, but like my dad, and certain other uncles, and especially my aunts, for some reason, my aunts was just like vicious, And so they was always haters, I never forget, I have one aunt on my dad's side. I was saying one day, like, yeah, all the prophets are black. She goes, they ain't black. But then this was the same aunt, and I've told this before, I've said it before, this was the same aunt who told me one time at another point in time that they didn't even read the Bible. They didn't even read the Bible. They just went to church. She told me that. So that's how I know. You have this spirit of, who do I think I am? And I can't tell you nothing if it's outside of, it gotta come from somebody that you look up to, or that you feel is holy, or you feel is godly. It's all about how you feel. Well, guess what, baby? Guess what? Wrong. It ain't about how you feel. It's about how God feels. It's about who God chooses. And none of the people that you look up to, in regards to my one aunt, none of the people that you look up to, told you the truth. Told you the things that I have revealed. So that means that you have no spiritual discernment. And the people that you obviously look up to, or that you feel is holy or biblical, or they don't know a damn thing either. So both of y'all are some blind mice. You a blind mice, and you being led by a blind mice. A mouse, blind mouse. So so that's how I feel about that. But my family was my biggest haters. I had cousins, just proving that they ain't nothing but snakes. Like, you're a snake, trying to weave their way in just to try to, start arguments with me and shit, because they wanted to make it be known, I think you're a fag, so you can't talk about this stuff. Who do you think you are? And it's like, you don't know what I do. You don't know what I do. You don't know my life. You don't know who I lay down with or who I go to bed with. Because truth be told, since I've been out here, my mom has been to visit me once or twice. And my dad has never been to visit me. And my brothers and sisters don't come see me either. That's why I don't come see any of them. And not looking to form any type of relationships. Because it's like, I've gone so long without that now I'm used to it. So now it's like a kind of like I don't need you type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I've gotten used to being without you, so now I don't need you. That's how I feel, you know, and it's no love lost, no hate or, you know, nothing like that. Because we wasn't raised close. We wasn't raised to be close. It was always them and then it was me, you know. So it's a 3-year age gap to my sister that's right above me. And we didn't even grow up together. I mean, we grew up, I saw her, but we didn't grow up together like me and one of my other brothers. We didn't grow up in the same household. That's what I'm saying. So it's not a love loss thing for me. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't feel like I'm missing anything. And what I've learned is love is a two-way street. It was always me running back and forth, always me getting on the road, putting miles on my car, always me doing, always me creating text groups, trying to keep up and keep everybody connected, but no more. No more. I refuse, and I'm good. But anyway, yeah, man, like I said, I'm the black sheep, in my family. I don't have any support, never really had any support. And I'm not crying or complaining, or I'm just trying to let you know, um, give you my side, which is, which is, I have already done that in the last chapter of my book, but I'm kind of just giving a little recap right here. And so, because this is a long-winded answer to my question, but in all actuality, yes, I do feel like I've accomplished my goal. Yes, I do. But anyway, like I was saying, nobody comes, to support me or anything like that. It's always been like that. And so that's how it's so easy for me to move and operate the way I do, because of the things that I've been through. I don't have no support. So um I just feel like, well, I made it through life, so why sit up here and be constantly offering support to other people when nobody was there to support me, nobody was there to help me, but God, so that's kind of shaped my views on, I used to be a very nice and giving person. I'm not that person no more. I'm not a nice and giving person. I can be nice, and, I try to make the best with people, and I really do try to get along with people. I'm not a troublemaker. But what I'm saying is I'm not the same person who I used to be. I'm not so open and giving and loving. That person is gone. And so it's because of the life lessons that I've learned. And um, just coming into the truth, started learning the truth, started learning about black people being Israelites. And like I said, I had clashes with my dad, who, my dad, he reminds me of that deacon off of First Sunday, and he's the create a flow a dollar type of person, which is, I told him for years that this man was a false prophet, but I told you, they looked at me like, who do I think I am? How do I know what I know? And, people always wanted to associate me with being a Muslim. Oh, you're a Muslim. Like, dude, I got whole videos on Islam telling you how Islam was started, telling you, telling you all the main factors of Islam. So that alone will let you know they didn't pay attention. They didn't pay attention. They heard what they wanted to hear and formulated their opinions that they wanted to formulate. That's how they've always treated me, and these people know that, I've been mistreated in life, by by my own family. They know because they've taken parts of it. I've literally been walking down the street and family has driven past me. Like, saw me, I saw them, so, and I'm not trying to gain sympathy. I'm just telling you, like, if I was to blow up, right? If I was to blow up, if I was to get rich or gain the riches and stuff like that, and people will always, the number one thing I think people will ask me, dang, you don't never have any of your family around? Like, you don't keep in contact with your family? Like, you know how some people will be like, oh, he's so wrong. He don't never, he don't take care of his family. Like, he don't never have his family. Failing to realize that when I had all the time in the world, when I didn't have anything, these people wouldn't come see me. Not at all. My mom, she will go every year, she'll go and see her wife's kids, but she won't come to see me at all, which is, that's fine. I've accepted that and I'm not complaining, but I'm just letting you know, like, people don't see all sides of things. They only see surface level. And so, if, and I don't have a relationship with my dad at all, so if I was to blow up and I was to hit it rich or something like that, and I didn't have a relationship with neither one of them, and something happens and it was in the headlines and it's like I didn't do nothing about it, people would think I'm evil. But they don't know that these two people, they pretty much, they both got their dreams, quote unquote. That's how I always say it. They both got what they wanted out of life. You know what I'm saying? And if I was to get what I wanted, or if I was to blow up or something like that, I would be expected to do, but these people never supported me. They wouldn't come see me. Only dealt with me when it was beneficial for them. And this just the God's the honest truth. It's just the truth. I'm just keeping it real. And they didn't have a relationship with me. I didn't have a relationship with them for real, for real. And so if you want like all the tea and stuff like that, just listen to the last chapter of my book. But if I was to hit it big, then they would expect me to do, but I wouldn't. Because, see, I'm not like Joseph. I'm not like how Joseph brothers, sold him into slavery and stuff like that. And then when the famine turned around and happened, how he allowed them in. I'm not like that. I would have met them at the gate and told, I don't know what y'all gonna do. That's the type of person I am. Because, and you can't blame me though. Like, you can't blame me. Like, how do you expect, somebody who y'all pretty much, have shunned, or, y'all don't really, y'all don't have a relationship. How do you expect for them to turn around and just, ooh, okay. Like, no, that's not how I operate. And everybody know that. So, where I am with my family today, that's where we gonna be. And so, and why am I telling you this? Because what I went through with my family, learning the truth, that's part of the root of all of this. See, because and honestly, it felt like when I was living the life, when I was actually living the like homosexual lifestyle, the John before pre-truth, who didn't know nothing, was just out here. Oh, they didn't respect me then. But they loved me still, But now it's like when I clean up my life and I'm proving like, hey, I can manage my money. Hey, I'm doing this. Hey, I'm on my own. Hey, I'm, now it's the who do you think you are type of thing, and I met with hateration. And so that's how it's always been. You know what I'm saying? Like I got cousins. They can go everywhere else, but they won't they would not come see me. And that's fine. Like that is fine. But all I'm saying is that if I was to hit it big and now I'm traveling, now I'm doing, if I didn't include them, they would take it as shade. That's how messed up people are in my family. You know what I'm saying? And so it is what it is. I know this. I know this because I just know how it is. And so, um, like I always, when you hear people be like, if something was to ever happen to me, um, at my funeral, don't be doing all this crying. And, I totally feel them when they be saying that. I don't even think I would want a funeral. I wouldn't, but, um, don't be all posting sad stats on Facebook. Don't be, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't be fake. Don't be fake. And, I always tell people, ask them when was the last time they seen me. When was the last time they kicked it with me? And when was the last time we spoke on the phone? When was the last time we, that'll let you know the relationship right there. So, and then even if they want to say, oh, well, he went off on the family and stuff like that. Well, what about before I went off on the family? And I didn't go off on everybody. So, yeah, man, when stuff happens, people want to remain silent and, well, I'm just not going to say nothing. I'm just not going to do nothing, But they don't want to understand that your silence is you saying something. Your not doing anything is you choosing a side, is you picking a side. And I'm the type of person, when you pick a side, you going to stay there. You going to stay there. So it is what it is. But like I said, I came into the truth, started learning the truth. Even though I was going through all of that in my family, people was starting to notice. People was starting to, whispers and stuff like that was starting to be, whispered and stuff like that. But people knew what I was talking about. People know how I feel. People know what I be saying. People know, what I be talking, what I post about. Y'all, when I tell you, not one of those preachers, not one of those bishops challenged me. Not one of them. Not one of them. And quiet is kept. I'll never forget when I first came into the truth. I had, I'll never forget, I was on my post and I posted something, and it's a famous, well, not famous, he ain't famous, but back home, he's very known. Very known. He's a dude, can sing his butt off, And he used to be in our choir. He became a minister. He became a preacher, I'm still waiting on our conversation because I never forget when I first told him black people are Israelites. He gonna say, be careful with that, But now you see Putin is telling you that Christ is black. Black people are the Israelites. It's coming out every day, And so that's another thing. When stuff started happening that I said it was going to happen, crickets, nothing, no apologies, no nothing, and then, you got a hater. Cause I was just talking about this on one of my last videos, but you got a hater when somebody tried to come at you like, yeah, well, you said this was going to happen and it didn't happen. That's how my dad came at me one time talking about something. Well, you said President Obama was going to start a war, or something about President Obama and a war. And I said, dude, are you dense? Like, he started a whole war with Gaddafi. And America stole his gold. Like, are you dense? Like, see, you so busy trying to be a hater. You so busy trying to be a hater that once again, you've done no research, no research of your own. You just so sure that what I'm saying is wrong. Now you done showed your hand. So yeah, man, I'm telling you, I came from nothing but haters. I ain't never had like no supportive type of family or friends and stuff like that. I would try to befriend people, but it just seemed like people just either they wanted to take advantage of me or they wanted to try to get close to be weird and try to compete with me and stuff like that. So, but doing this work, I started to see my work get shared. I started to see my work get shared. Lessons, making it all the way to Africa. Pictures that I was sharing, making it all the way to Africa, making it to different Facebook groups. You know what I'm saying? And these ain't just memes. No, these are historical paintings, showing the prophets and black and stuff. A lot of these pictures that you see now, I've been showing. And that's what you're going to see throughout my videos. And all of these pictures is in my book, and my book is not just a book of pictures. No, baby, it's words in there, okay? So, like I said, 1,451 pages, 19 chapters, okay? And I believe it's chapter 4 is Wake Up, Fools, You the Hebrew Israelites. Okay, in the Judah section alone, is 300 plus pages. Okay, and they ain't full of pictures. Okay, and so I've spent a good portion of my life working on this, and I have pulled people into the quote unquote the truth. I've pulled people into the truth. So that's how I know that I was effective. I can name names. I won't, but I can name names that I know that I planted a seed, or they saw my writings, or they saw, something that I said, and it, intrigued them to go start doing the research. And that's how it happens. That's how it's supposed to happen. It's supposed to be a seed implanted, and the Most High in Christ do the watering. Making sure it sprouts. And so, yeah, man, I know that my, I know that I did accomplish my goal. And my goal was, I wanted to be a vessel and show everybody, not just, heterosexual people, but I'm saying it. Yeah, I wanted to show homosexual people as well the truth, because homosexual people deserve, LGBTQIA people deserve to know their history as well. They deserve to know the truth, and I just, how I think about it is, okay, when the Hebrew brothers, these camps, when they be out on the streets and stuff like that, y'all have seen them. A lot of them, they can get pretty vulgar, calling names. Hey, I can too, and a lot of gay people ain't gonna put up with that. I ain't saying it's gonna even be a fight. What I'm saying is a lot of them ain't gonna listen, because they are sure that you going somewhere, try to condemn them, for being who they are, or, whatever. I wanted people to hear the truth about who our ancestors are, who we are, without all the, well, you a faggot and you going to hell, and you're a sodomite and all of that. Do I talk about it? Yes, I do. I do. I took a pause to get me something to eat because I had just worked an 8-hour shift. Um, and that's another thing, that I want people to, remember when they, viewing my work. This was not my main job. I never made a dime off of, any of my work or anything like that. So, when you watching my videos, I recorded whether I was tired. Sometimes I was tired. I just worked, you know. I would work an 8-hour shift, then I would film, and I would record, and I would have to pause, to eat and stuff like that. And, that's before I know it, it's the extra for a 2-hour video. It could be about 3 or 4 hours of, recording and pausing and stopping to eat and, do me. That's why I don't do live videos. And but I think I was talking about my mission, and like I said previously, I just wanted LGBTQIA people, especially the black ones, because see, a lot of these guys, that's in these Hebrew camps, they not gonna care for real. They already, look at these people and judge them, um, already, and like ain't no hope for them, or just cast them away type of thing. And that's so unfair. It's unfair, and I ain't trying to change or convert nobody. This was strictly about, you know, um, showing everybody, but I wanted to show the black LGBTQIA, the truth without them having to feel, like they have to walk on eggshells or like they being shamed. A lot of y'all don't know how that feels to be in church and singled out and shamed and told you gonna go to hell and stuff like that, embarrassed, right in front of the church. And so, a lot of people don't know um, the conversations that a lot of black LGBTQIA done had with God. Why me, God? Why, like why this? Why this walk? Um, and so, you know, in order to reach our people, these brothers, they don't understand that God is going to have people come from all walks of life. There's going to be all walks of life that in that kingdom. I used to be this. I used to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't behave that way no more. I don't do the things that I used to do, and I'm for love, but one of the message that I preach to the LGBTQIA is love is not going to these bathhouses. Love is not going to these circuit parties. Love is not, going to the bathhouses and sucking 10 penises at the bathhouse. That's not love. That's fornication. And you got to know the difference between the two. And I will be honest, I have videos addressing especially the black LGBTQIA, seem like all they want to do is fight. That's it. So all they want to do is fight. I say, black gay men, seems like, all they want to do is fight, fuck, and be mad. And, that's what it seems like, because that's surely all I have seen, and that's all I have come across. And I pride myself on being very attractive. I think I'm very attractive. And that's part of the reason why I haven't had sex in 2 years. It's really been 2 years. And um, I grew tired of, it seemed like it just was always the same type of dude. It was always the same type of dude. You know, um, I live, I live well. People try to clown me all day, but one thing I can say about Savage, stable. Stable. Nah, I ain't got the big 72-inch flat screen. Nah, I ain't got well, now I do got stainless steel appliances and stuff like that, but um I'm not no, I might not have the Taj Mahal, but my place is comfy and cozy enough, and it's nice enough to where people would, dudes to see me, see how I live, and they'd be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna work my hand and I'm in here. It was always some bum like that, like, not wanting to get to know me, not wanting to build, not wanting to, it was either me doing all the work, or I had somebody that wanted to cage me, wanted them to be the one that is the provider and stuff like that. Not because they like me, no, it's to stroke their own ego, and they're insecure because I have a light, and I'm a go-getter, and I work hard, and I met dudes where they didn't want me to make more money than them. It was a problem if I made more money than them. And it's been one hell of a ride, to the point where I kind of gave up like hope, like for um meeting somebody on my level. And I mean, that don't be sad. Don't be sad. Because baby, I always say this, at least I might be I might be alone. I'm not lonely though. I might be alone, but at least I can go to sleep at night, not worry about somebody cheating on me, not worried about if I go to sleep, is somebody gonna attack me in my sleep, is somebody gonna steal from me, you know. I don't have to worry about none of that. And I thank God for it. I have a level of peace that I am definitely grateful for. So while people think I'm sad or sulking or, miserable, actually, I'm good all by myself. Because I've always been a loner type. I always been a loner ever since, because I've always been a black sheep. So that's one thing that, if people do remember anything about me, I want it to be known, yeah, I was the black sheep. I was an outcast. I was an outcast in the gay community, the LGBTQIA community. I was an outcast. Nobody really wanted to vibe with me, or, nobody really wanted to be cool. And that's fine. Everybody had their right. I'm not complaining, but I'm not going to conform or dumb myself down for them, you know, and I'm happy with who I am. I know who I am, and I'm happy with what I have, so I'm not a begging type of person where I'm going to beg people to be my friend, or I'm going to, I'm going to beg for a man to be with me, or anything like that. And I ran across that too. Guys who, would presume themselves to be more masculine than me, but even though they putting on mini skirts and voguing and, all of this stuff. And I don't do none of that stuff. I don't paint my fingernails. I don't dye my hair, even when I had hair. No makeup, no women's clothing. I am a masculine presenting male. And so I'm a man, It's a little joke. But yeah, man, it's hard to find, it was hard to find people um who I could vibe with, who I could mesh with. And when you spend so much time alone, it can be also a problem, because yes, I love my peace. I love my, my sanity. But now it's to the point where, um, now it's to the point where I don't want nobody to interrupt my peace. I don't want to have to worry about, um, do my bae have a doctor's appointment, or making sure he get to the doctor's appointment, or, just I don't want to have to worry about meeting somebody else's friends, or trying to impress somebody's parents, or, you know what I'm saying? Because I have none of that. I have none of that. If I was to meet somebody, they don't have to worry about impressing my parents. They probably ain't gonna meet my parents. They don't have to worry about impressing no friends. Ain't no friends. So they don't have to worry about no crazy exes. Ain't no exes. So why should I have to be subjected to that type of behavior? I'm not. I'm not going to put up with it. I'm not going to deal with it, because I don't have that over here. There's nobody that's going to be worried about me, or who I meet, or anything like that. Nobody cares. So, and that's cool. I care, but I'm just keeping it real. So I don't have that. So why would I subject myself to that for somebody to treat me like that? So and then, man, black gay men is crazy. Like I said, all they want to do is fight, fuck, and make fast money. A lot of them. That's how they operate. And then I had to deal with getting with people who was jealous. Like, who would be jealous of the way I live, and like, jealous because, I know somebody has to know what I'm talking about. You get with somebody and you trying to show them love, and you trying to help them get on if they need help, but it's like they resentful towards you, and it's just like, I ain't did nothing to you. I'm just trying to help. Like, and you asking me for help, and I'm doing it, but it's like you fighting me every step of the way too, So ran into a couple of them, and I would pick up these signs pretty quick, and I would be out, I mean, it seemed like 90 days was the thing. Like 90 days, I don't think I ever had a relationship over 90 days. Because I'm serious. Like, I'm not putting up with nobody bull crap. Like, I've always been like that. Like, in the past, it's like, yeah, I might go a little bit further than what I should, but eventually I've always been the type that's just gonna walk away. I'm gonna just leave, you know. I ain't no friend circle type of person. I ain't never been like that, you know. I'm not for the people type of person. I'm not a go with the crowd type of person. And so, that's me, So that's, what I wanted to be known. Like, this is who I am. This is who I am on the other side of what I teach and what I believe in. There's a person here with feelings, and I know what I talk about. And I say some things that are not nice. I say things that are not nice, that are very harsh. But I want people to know this. I do not hate other races. I don't hate white people. I don't. I don't hate white people at all, you know. And but I do hate the ones like President Dump, like the CK dude, you know. Um those type of people that spread lies and misinformation, and that's why another reason why, I did my videos, and I know a lot of people, they don't respect me, because of, um, me. They don't respect me because of me, but that's okay because I was just watching today. I was just watching one of my videos, a few of my videos, as in the days of Noah. And man, Noah preached for 120 years. He preached that the floods was coming, and they call him names. They laughed at him, call him weird. They didn't accept. That's a sign of a prophet, man. When the majority don't accept them. But see, people are just so blind. They're so blind. And then when we stand in judgment, that's why I say in the Bible, it's gonna be a whole bunch of weeping and gnashing of teeth. Because God is going to bring this up. Oh, you know everything about the P. Diddy trial. You know everything about that. You know everything about Cardi B and Nicki Minaj beef. You know everything. You know all the Nicki Minaj hits. But you don't even know that Christ is black. And didn't even care. It's gonna be a whole bunch of, well, I didn't know. No. The videos was here. People tried to tell you. You didn't want to listen. You didn't want to listen. You didn't want to believe. You didn't want to hear the truth. That's one thing, I've said it time and time again. Black people, we don't want to accept what we did. We've never kept our end of the covenant after God saved us time and time again. And we gave the order to have the Most High Son taken up out of here. Our ancestors gave the order for that. And they put it on them and their kids. That's what they said. Be it on us and our kids. On my kids, though. On my mama, though. On my mama, you ain't gonna do nothing. On my mama. On my mama. On my mama. Who talk like that? Us. We the ones that talk like that. And we lead the other nations. We say stuff like that, and then the other nations follow. We talk like that. That's how I know it was us. And that's something that we don't want to accept. We don't want to look at. We don't want to admit it. And guess what? Rest in peace to that Travian Reed. Boy, I think that's his name. Travian Reed. Rest in peace to him. But it's gonna keep happening until one of two things. Until they engage us fully, until they just, the last stand. Because at the end gonna come quick, I believe. Right now it's just been, one event happened, then it's little space of time. Then another little event happened. Nah, I believe that towards the end, stuff gonna, stuff is gonna, start going faster. And either they're gonna engage us and stuff gonna happen, and it's gonna potentially cause God to send Christ back, after that he see, his people being slaughtered and stuff like that. Or they just gonna keep, you know, hanging us and stuff like that. But we don't want to understand who we are. We don't want to accept it. A lot of these people in the churches, they brainwashed, If it don't sound like what they think God is, then, and then they're going to stand in judgment and find out. I'm talking about these people in these pews. They're going to stand and find out they never knew God. Never knew God for real. Because they didn't read their Bible. They depended on a man to tell them. And in judgment, they going to stand there and blame, well, my pastor said, you saw me going to church. My pastor said. And God going to hit them with, there's a scripture that you missed. That's how I know you didn't read your word. Study to show thyself approved. What happened with that? They're going to be lying right up in judgment. Lying. Forgetting that God see everything, know everything. Only time you pulled that Bible out was to go into church. That's it. A lot of y'all. And it shows. It shows. I've been through this. I told you about everything that I've been through this journey when I was talking to, there were some pastors, and that's how people in back home knew what I was talking about, because I was having private one-on-one conversations with a few pastors from my hometown, and they didn't believe, but one of them I've had within a few years, I've had a conversation with one of them, and he told me everything. Because I did not believe you at the time, but everything that you said is coming out. It's coming true. So yeah, I know, because God told me. The work that I have done, I could not have done this by myself, man. That's how I know God was with me. And God is still with me. God has carried me, and I've had my, me and God have had some, well, I probably had them by myself, but I've had some little tiffies with God, because it's just like, and I know I'm just being vulnerable, I'm being honest, I'm standing up here, I'm doing the work, I'm putting the work out, and, and I'm not seeing, nothing, like, but I'm not seeing what I want to see. I'm not seeing what I want to see. I'll just put it like that. And, I had to remind myself, like I can't compare myself to these other people, because it's like I don't know what they got going on behind the scenes. People taking oaths, and, next thing you know, they're becoming all these big streamers and stuff like that. And in this world, I told people 10 years ago, and I'm telling people today, it takes more than talent. It takes more than talent. Okay? It's about who you know. It's about who you know and who do they know. Okay? Who do you know and who do they know? Okay? You gotta know somebody that knows somebody in order for stuff, to work down here. And unfortunately, I don't know anybody. I don't have any, celebrity friends or friends that, is cool with a producer, and, oh yeah, my cousin got a friend that got a producer that do such stuff. Ain't nothing like that over here. Ain't nothing. It's just me. It's just me all by my pretty little lonesome self, besides God and Christ and the Holy Spirit, and I have them spiritually. But I'm saying physically, it's just me. And I'm not saying that for sympathy. I'm not saying that for somebody to feel sorry for me or sad for me. because I relish in it. You know, I like to be by myself. I ain't got to account for nobody. I ain't got to go back and forth with nobody. You know, when I want to speak about something, or, you know, the route that I want to go in, you know, so it's just like cool. It's been cool, you know, but I just wish people, our people, black people, care more about themselves, about where they come from, about who they are, because we need this information. We need to know this. This is what's going to, what I talk about, what I teach, that's what's going to last. Not Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. That's all manufactured. All manufactured, man. And I just, for the life of me, I don't understand, like, why do we put so much high value on celebrities and their lives? And it's just like, these people don't do nothing for us at the end of the day, and they don't care. They don't. They don't care. You know, many of them took oaths to lead young girls astray. You know, speaking of these female rappers, a lot of them played a part in influencing young girls to do hideous things to their bodies, to go under the knife and get a BBL with little scrawny chicken legs. You know, butt ain't even matching the thighs. You know, a lot of these rappers, these female rappers, they play a role in that. They play a role, and, you know, but they'll turn around and blame it on the man. But it's like, no, you know, after Little Kim, you can't use that man excuse no more. You cannot use that man excuse, because y'all continued it. By now, in this healing process that we, you know, are starting and about to endure, that's one of the things that's going to have to be noted. You know, for black women, they have to admit, you know, we was influenced to be whores by other black women. And black men, we was influenced to be murderers and violent and criminal by other black men who took money, who was paid to do this. They were paid to lead us astray. They was paid, okay? They got paid big time. You know, some of them even took the money from the people and then turned around and invested in a private prison. I'm real, man. I talk about all of this stuff. I talk about all of this. But because I don't have no clout, because I don't have a big following, people, you know, they'll pass me by. Or because I'm me, I'm who I am, they'll pass me by. They won't take me serious. You know, it's not enough. It's not enough dollhouse content where, you know, it's dollhouse is the show about these trans women, you know, and you will see them. They'll be in the streets and in the public. Oh, we're oppressed and they're killing us. But then you watch this dollhouse show. Oh, they killing each other. Okay? You know? And I always say, what a fine representation for, you know, if you trying to push one narrative, you know, this narrative, that this dollhouse damn show ain't making this narrative that y'all want to push on why trans need rights. And yes, I do agree that trans people do need rights. I agree. But this dollhouse show is making that narrative of y'all needing rights, it's making that look real bleak, real dim. Like, oh no, it looks like they oppressing each other. Like, do we need to give them rights to get them away from each other? And it's the black trans, of course. It's the black trans, just like black gay men. I hate to compare us to other races, but you don't see you don't see how some of these gay men want to be baddies so bad. They want to be city girls so bad. They want to have that mentality, so bad. That's why you see a lot of them is feminine. That's why a lot of them are feminine, because they want to be city girls. They want to, or even some of the ones that look like me, they want to be city girls. They want to be flued out. They want to be, and it's just like, at the end of the day, they don't have a lot of them don't have too much to offer. It's like you have this horrible attitude, but you're, but you walk face and you have a nice little body and you're popular in the ballroom scene, quote unquote. So that just means that you can be shitty to everybody and have a shitty attitude, throwing drinks in people's faces and stuff like that. And it's just excuse after excuse after excuse. Some of these fine men in the black gay community, man, they are the worst ones. They are the worst ones. And it's like, it seemed like I said it on one video, it seemed like I'm Savvy, the energy vampire slayer. Because, or the Savvy, the narcissist slayer is a better name. Because, baby, I slay them. I attract them and I slay them, But that's how it is. And, when you compare our community to other communities, that's why black people have the lowest relationships. And it's Willie Lynch. It's all Willie Lynch. To me, it's all Willie Lynch. So, like I said, yes, I wanted my people, the LGBTQIA people, to see this because, well, somebody had asked, how is God going? Because it say in the Bible that at the end, everybody going to be able to see this, and it's just because, like I said, it's one in each community. It's a few in each community. I know I'm not the only one who share these beliefs and who know this in the community. I know I'm not the only one that's into the Bible and stuff like that. And so, like I said, it was one in each family, the black sheep, and there's one in these communities too, Right now, I kind of always look at my work as like Bayard Rustin. When he was helping Martin Luther King and he was doing what he was doing, they wasn't giving him his flowers, but all today, we give him his flowers, we reverence him. Growing up, he wasn't talked about, and so, but, and, and I wonder, if he was alive right now, would he do something like this? I kind of, I want it to be known, like, if my work was to blow up, like, after I'm gone or something like that, I want it to be known, like, no, nobody never gave me my flowers. Nobody never gave me my flowers. I said a lot of things that came to pass that was true, and people tried to discredit me, the whole way. And when it came out that I was telling the truth, that everything I said was real, no, they didn't come back and apologize. Nope. Too cowardice. They too much of a coward to do that. No, I'm sorry, cuz I was wrong. Nope, none of that. I'm sorry, son, I was wrong. None of that. Nope. It was more like I'm just ain't gonna say nothing, because, then I have to admit that I don't know as much as I thought I knew, And it's been times where I was, where I was wrong. But I always come back, and if I'm wrong about something, I have no problems admitting that I was wrong. you know, and because I don't know everything. I don't. Just like for instance, I I accused the Church of God in Christ, or yeah, Church of Garbage in Crisis. I accused them of being started by. I accused their founder, Charles Harrison Mason, of being a Freemason, but he wasn't. He was not a Freemason. I was wrong about that, and I've said it on previous videos. I was wrong about that. But at the same point in time, he still chose to tie his Church of Garbage in Crisis, which is he didn't even believe in being baptized by water. He didn't believe that. He believed in being baptized by the word. Um, but he still tied his organization to the Pentecostal movement. And I stand firm on accusing Charles Fox Parham of being a Mason. He didn't pay. They try to say, oh, this was an insurance lodge, meaning it wasn't an official lodge. It was, kind of like unofficial. It was unofficial. So, they just got together and, you know, um, they did the handshakes and the rituals, but they didn't pay the money type deal. If they did the handshakes, they did the rituals, they are Masons. And so, whether it was insurance or not, Charles Fox Parham was a Mason. Maybe he wasn't an official Mason, but he was still with the boys. He was white, and how they still gonna back each other. So yeah, they might clown him. Oh yeah, old Charlie boy, he don't pay. He ain't serious. He don't pay his membership fees. And they'll make a joke about it. But they still love him though, and they still count him as one of their own. They still gonna stand up for him if he was to do something wrong, just how white folks do. So they still a Mason, and so Charles Harrison Mason still tied his organization to the Pentecostal movement. So he's still wrong. But was Charles Harrison Mason himself a Freemason? No, neither was Charles Price Jones. So neither one of them was Masons, but they did know William Seymour. Seymour knew Parham, and I think they met at some revival or something like that, but they all knew of each other, and I'm not, and I can't prove it, that's what I say, I can't prove it, but they all knew each other, and so, they all knew what Parham was involved in and everything else. So, yeah. No, they weren't Masons themselves, but they still aligned their churches with one because he's over the Pentecostal movement. So, but I was wrong about, but I straightened it up. That's what I do. See, these pastors, they don't have they're too proud. Their pride gets in their way, and that's some of them. Then the other ones know that they doctrine is wrong, know what they teach is wrong, but they not gonna stop it because that's their bread and butter. That's how they make their money. So they're gonna keep teaching that tithes is money, knowing that it's food. They're gonna keep their holy convocation, their weekly holy convocation. They're going to keep that on Sunday, knowing what the Bible say about the Sabbath day. But because if they was to do what the word actually says, people will start to question them. And see, that's why that's why my work is not like, because I poke bubbles in their false doctrines that they got from the Roman Catholic Church. So, but no, I never I never got my flowers, quote unquote. Never no flowers. No love, just a bunch of hate and disrespect. Another reason why I'm single, cause baby, I'ma ask my questions. Are you employed? Because I keeps a job, always have worked. You know, I'm not no sugar baby. I ain't no sugar daddy. I ain't no trick, and I'm not no hoe. What are your views on the Bible? What are your views on God and Christ? You know, that's pretty obvious if you ain't seen my videos. You know, did you vote? Who did you vote for? Because, baby, if you ain't voted, nope. And I know I'm one to talk because I haven't voted since Obama's uh, first term. But I got my ass out and I voted for Kamala. I sure did. Because I knew that that man was lying about Project 2025. I knew that he was not playing about wanting to become a dictator and wanting to have a third term. And I knew that this time around it was going to be bad. I knew that America was approaching 250 years. If you don't know what that means, then hey, maybe you should be Googling this stuff instead of worried about Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. Are you a Barb or a part of any fan group? Yeah, because I ain't dealing with that. Have you ever made a false report on a business because of a celebrity? Not dealing with that. Because people be out here filing whole false reports on businesses, on people that don't care about them. You know, and I'm talking about petty stuff. I'm talking about like not nothing that's dealing with race and you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, that's serious, you know. But the stuff that I'm talking about, calling somebody restaurant and making bad reviews, all of that stuff, See, I look at that. I look at that like, oh, you petty like that? Okay, yeah. Red flag. Are you a Taurus? Infinity red flags. Definitely don't, No Taurus, man, Hell no. When was the last time you fought? I haven't been in a fight since 2021, you know, and that's because somebody hit me from behind. Somebody hit me from the blind. What kind of work do you do? So you see how that was the first question? And then you see how I circle back around to what kind of work you do? That's the type of person you dealing with. You better pick that up, old school. Do you scam? Do you steal? Are you looking for a sugar daddy, a sugar baby? Do you sell any type of drug? Do you hookah? What's your living situation? Are you in school? How long have you been in school? Are you currently in or ever been a part of the ballroom or pageant scene? Because I'm not doing that. Did you know that some people can feel when other people lie to them? Are you trying to be a baddie on one of these gay reality TV shows? Because those shows are atrocious. Okay, they literally are a bad representation for the black LGBTQIA. They literally make these guys fight each other. They make them fight each other in the auditions. It's horrible. It's horrible. You don't see the white gays doing this. You don't see the Asian gays doing this. Nope, only the black ones. I wonder why. Because black people are the only type of people that will take their own people and humiliate them for a few bucks. You know, and I feel the same way about the ballroom scene. You know, and the pageant scene is nothing but a continuation of Willie Lynch. You know, they put the light face against the dark face. You know, the icon who was usually older against, you know, the legend or, you know, open to all. You might get an icon voguing against a youngin', old against young, the man against woman, you know, or female presenting, whatever. It's still Willie Lynch. know? So everybody not gonna be Saucy Santana, no disrespect to him. But everybody not gonna be that, you know? And a lot of people have that attitude and don't be having no type of talent for real. Do you dye your hair, wear makeup, weave, wigs, fake dreads? Oh yes. I can't. Purses, heels, mini skirts, paint your nails, because I don't do none of that. Do you be at the club every weekend? I can't tell you the last time I've been to a club. I can't tell you the last time I've been to a club. Did you wear a dress to the red dress run? Because what I notice about, my community is everything is for show. We take everything and make it for show. This red dress run, it started out, as a charitable event, but nope, we had to take it. And, I know I'm going down here, me and my girls, and, we just gonna stay in here, and cause we the coldest, we the baddest. That's what it's all about. you know who's the baddest, who got the baddest friends, who the baddest clique, who, that it's all a competition. That's all it is in the gay community, is one big old competition. That's it. Everybody trying to compete and outdo each other. So yeah, I don't support that type of behavior. I don't do that, and I'm not about to be dating nobody that do that. And they get mad at you when you say stuff like that. They want to call you, that's internalized homophobia. Why? Because I don't want to put on a dress. I did it enough as a child. I'm good. I did it in college, twice. I'm good. I had my run. I'm good. I'm good. And baby, when I did it, there was nothing to do. Okay, there was nothing to do. I was in the school in the middle of nowhere. Not making excuses, but this was early 2006, 2007. You know, do you drink? I don't drink. Do you smoke? What do you smoke? Do you use, snort, or inject narcotics? Do you allow people to snort cocaine off of your dick? Do you stick X pills up your ass? Do you do shrooms? Are you into sorcery? Have you ever paid to have spell work done on somebody? Do you do voodoo, hoodoo, African spirituality? Does anyone that you know of in your family do spell work? Are you in a gay family, in a gay house? Not dealing with that. Tried it. Not for me. I believe that my world and their world are two separate worlds that should not intermix. It's fun to watch for entertainment purposes, but no, no, not enough to allow that into my personal life. And I always said, even though I'm not looking for a partner, I'm not, because like I've already told you, I've pretty much given up hope, because maybe black gay men is, and I'm definitely wouldn't go to no white one. So, that's why I said it's gonna take one of these popular. I always say it's gonna take one of these popular ones to, like the gay dating coach and Craig the writer Stewart. It's gonna take them to come together and really start tackling issues in this community, you know. And this is not in no way towards them, but a lot of the popular people don't want to do it because they don't want to take the chance on getting canceled. They don't want to hear, oh, you're shaming us. Why are you shaming us? Somebody need to shame you. Going to the bathhouse sucking 10 dicks at one night, and one night somebody needs to shame you. Somebody needs to shame the 400 people in the dark room that was having sex and people was literally stepping in literal shit. Somebody needs to shame those people. Shame needs to be brought back, because this community is out of control. It is. I'm sorry, but I know it's unpopular, but hey, I stand alone anyway. I stand by myself. I was never accepted anyway. So it's kind of like an insider, but an outsider looking in. Because I can never deny, I can never deny my community, even though, um, I don't fit in and I'm not a part of it. I never deny who I am, even though even though it's been 2 years, I don't care. They'll still, even if I was to get married to a woman, I would still keep my label because that's what the world is going to label me. Like what Ronnie told Diamond on Players Club. Look, that's what they're going to call you upstairs. So get used to it. Now let's go, ho. That's what it is. I already know that, But what I found out is when you don't run from it, when you don't, you know what I'm saying, when you lead with the truth, when you lead with the honesty, they can't convict you. I'm not DL. I ain't never been DL. Never. Anybody that was to tell you that, they deserve to be slapped. Cause baby, they know better than to be lying. So no, I don't play the gay family or the gay house. You and your friends ain't about to be teaming up and jumping me. Nope. Are you still friends with your ex? Does your ex stalk you? How many friends do you have? Are you close with your family? Do you own a dog or a cat? How many dogs and cats? Do you call them your kids? Cause nope. Not dealing with nobody like that. These is animals. Speaking of friends, do you run trains on other men with your friends? Do you go to circuit parties, bathhouses, or dark rooms with your friends? What's your sexual position? When was the last time you had sex? Do you go cruising? Do you like to have sex outdoors? Do you take long walks at the park after dark? Okay. Do you do sex parties? Circuit parties? Have to ask it again. Do you shower at the gym? Have to give all the scenarios. How long do you stay in the sauna? I had to change that. Do you like to spit in your partner's mouth? That is some disgusting behavior. That is disgusting. Do you believe in pissing on your partner? That is disgusting. Do you have sex with your friends, your brothers? You gotta ask, cause this my brother, this my brother, this my brother. Dang, so you done have sex with all your brothers? Do you create sexual content? Nope. That's another thing that has ruined, quote unquote, black gay love. Everybody want to be OnlyFans. Can't even enjoy it. That's one of the reasons why I stopped having sex. To be real with you. This as these younger generations, everybody want to pull out a cell phone. Everybody want to pull out a cell phone. Can't even enjoy sex no more because everybody want to make sure they get the right angle and like, nah, you ain't making no money off of me. Are you DL? I don't date DL dudes. Cause you ain't about to delete me. No sir, brother. Nope. I ain't never been one to mess with D. And then it make me wonder like because like how people be running into all these DL men. I never run into DL men. Never. I never run into DL men. I'm like, dang, how y'all have all these stories? Like, where do y'all be meeting these guys? Like, cause baby, I don't meet no DL dudes. Like, they don't approach. Like, and even if they did, I'd be oblivious. Like, I'd be oblivious to when somebody like trying to flirt with me or I'd be serious. I'd be like answering the questions and so it'd go right over my head. That has happened before. But I don't date DL dudes. I don't know. So to the trans community, We don't like the same type of guys, because I ain't never liked that type. And I'm not saying that those are the only type that trans people like, but that's normally the type that they want to throw up in our face when they say, "Oh, we jealous because we want their guys." It's normally those type of guys, but they fail to realize that those type of guys don't want them either. They just looking for an opportunity. They definitely don't want to be with them in the public, in the daylight, you know. So, do you have kids? And speaking of kids, I said it on one video. If we care so much about our kids and we want to shield them from content, and that's your right. I do want to know, if we care so much about our kids, why are so many of them missing? Why are so many of them missing? Why are so many of them running away? It's an epidemic that they don't want to talk about. There are thousands of young black girls going missing in this country, and they're being moved into sexual slavery. I'm from Toledo, Ohio, okay? And I can tell you all about sex trafficking because my city is one of the biggest cities in the country. Little old Toledo, okay? I've been with people rescuing young girls. I can tell you firsthand, it is an epidemic. But then when I think of the Toy Story situation and how we so protective over our kids and stuff like that, and you can't tell me what, this is about my kids. If you don't have no kids, then you can't say nothing. Okay, well, I don't have any kids, but you do have kids, and so I do want to know, if you love your kids so much, then why are they going missing? Anyway, do you have OnlyFans or Twitter or any apps like it? Are you on apps like Jacked or Grinder? And that's not really um, that's not really a red flag question. That's just, I want to know, because I don't see nothing wrong with, going on the apps. I've been on the apps from time to time. Like I said, I take the gay dating coach approach with it. If you want to potentially meet somebody, you got to put yourself out there. And y'all, I don't drink. I don't drink. So me going to a bar, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then here where I live at, see, y'all gotta understand, sometimes y'all be looking at stuff from, an Atlanta perspective or a Dallas perspective or a Houston perspective. Baby, where I live at, these black men like white boys. Because a lot of them don't want to work. A lot of them don't want to work. And you know how it is. You know the story. And I'm not going. I'm good. I don't need you. So yeah, that's a lot of the reasons, why it's a culmination of things. And then, I do have a quote unquote who I don't consider anybody an ex, for real, for real. I don't, because officially I have not been in a relationship over 3 months. So but there was one who we didn't make it past 3 months. Probably made it about 3 months, but we was off and on after being official. We was off and on, and then we were just friends. So and like I said, I'll tell you about him. I call him Jew Lame, Jew Lame. Fake wannabe Jamaican, wear the dashikis and, talk the talk. But see, I'm somebody that really know Jamaican history, so I know about the Jamaican Maroons, and I know about how the Jamaican people are primarily come from the Ashanti people. I just talked about it in one of my videos. So, when he came across me, I'm somebody that truly knows, Black history for real. And I could easily tell, oh, this he don't know nothing about his own culture. He one of them types. He wear the dashikis, and he might know a little of patois, or he know enough just to get by, But somebody who really know, no. Mm-mm. And when I first met him, he was on drugs. He was doing that T shit. I ain't never touched no type of narcotic like that. The most I've ever did was ecstasy pills, and I mean, I didn't. People do get addicted, So I'm not trying to seem ignorant, but I don't see how people get addicted because, baby, I did not like that crash at the end. I couldn't do it. Did it a few times. Thank God I didn't get hooked on it, but it was an easy stop for me. When I met him, that nigga was actually smoking out of the pipe. I found a pipe in one of them little glass things, and he lied. He lied about his drug use, lied about everything. I talk about this in the last chapter of my book. But he lied about everything. And I helped him get off of drugs. I helped him get clean. When I met him, he had a knot on the side of his neck, the size of a small little tangerine. Well, not a tangerine, but like maybe a mandarin orange. He had a knot on the side. His lymph nodes was swollen. So I already know what that meant. And so, I helped him get into treatment, you know. And if you talk to him, you will swear I was the devil. He'll make you think I was the devil. After I turned around and did all of that, got him a job where I was working at, stuck my neck out on the line for him, wasn't making money like that. Family was proud of him, even said, yeah, they never seen me make money like this, but he'll tell people, and I know because somebody told me this, you know, um, he'll tell people that I didn't believe in his dreams. But if it wasn't for me helping you get off drugs and helping you get into treatment, you wouldn't even be alive to have dreams. People always forget that aspect, They say, oh, you didn't believe in my dreams. But it's like everything that I did showed that I believed in your dreams because you wouldn't even be alive today to have dreams or to have new dreams if it wasn't for me. And I'm not boasting, I'm not trying to throw nothing in nobody's face, but that's the stuff that I went through with people, nothing but users. And that's why I am the way I'm standoffish today, because it's just like I'm tired of coming across users, tired of coming across people that, it's all about them and they don't want to reciprocate anything, but yet they want you to give 100%, but they won't even give 5, and I've dealt with that in my family. I've dealt with that in friends. I've dealt with that in relationships. And it got to a point where it's like, if this is what I have to deal with this, I'd rather be completely by myself. I'd rather be completely by myself. And that's what happened. And it was hard at first, and I'm not gonna front, it was painful at first. But eventually it does get better. It does get better. Because all I can think of is when when Angela Bassett was, you know, you just start to see stuff different, man. And you can just change stuff. I ain't become a Buddhist. Ain't no Nam Yoho Renge Kyo. Hey, do Ricky Day, though. Nah, ain't none of that over here. But what I went through, it gave me an opportunity to be on the outside looking in, because at first I was on the inside, and then I got a chance to switch positions, be on the outside looking in. And I know I made the right decision. I know I made the right decision to walk away. I know I made the right decision to, start turning down my energy and, just letting stuff land where it land. Because I will always be the one to try to save a relationship, to try to save a friendship. Not no more. I got rid of everybody. Friends, so-called friends, family, So I'm one of those people. I can definitely be by myself because that's all I've had besides God and Christ and the Holy Spirit is myself. Out here where I'm at, I ain't got no family. I ain't got no friends. Ain't no, hey, can I borrow? Ain't no, none of that. And I've survived by the grace of God. I have survived. And you will too. You will too. This message ain't for everybody. It's not. It's not for everybody. But to that person that's out there and that's going to come across this, I want you to know, man, I've been bullied. A lot of the people that went against me, they are dead and gone. And I didn't have nothing to do with it. But I'm just saying, karma is real. And that's why I always try my best to treat everybody, appropriately. I'm that person where you don't want to lose me. You don't want to lose me. But I'm also that same person when you do lose me, you gonna sit there and try to front like, oh, I wasn't important, or I was nothing. I'm also that person too, because a lot of people do that. But I know, if I was to make the first effort, they welcome me right back, be all happy and everything else. But nope, I'm good. Because when I walk away, I walk away, What did I expect to get out of this? Nothing. I don't know. I don't know what I expected to get out of this. I didn't really come into this with any expectations on like making a whole bunch of money or, this leading to opportunities and stuff like that, because you got to remember, like, yeah, I'm talking about real stuff, but the stuff that I'm talking about is real, it's real. This stuff get people taken out, and a lot of people who own the industries are who I'm talking about. So naturally, they're going to try to shadow ban me. They're going to, I was scrolling through Facebook and I came across another. He was a white guy, but I catch his videos every now and then. Kind of got a ginger beard. And, he really is against President Dump and MAGA. And I came across, and he was talking about there's a list, There is a list, though. There's a list that they put people like me on, people like me who tell the truth and, and we expose, yes, there's a list. I know that I'm on the list. I know that I'm shadow banned. I've been talking about this stuff for years. And the fact that, my channel never blew up or, I never got any real recognition. I believe that's why I'm probably still here, you know, and ain't been in, trouble or nothing like that. Because when you speak truth, they mess with you, but nobody really watches my videos or anything like that. And so it's kind of like I was kind of able to fly under the radar, you know. But I, you know, have no doubt that if my channel do start to blow up and stuff like that, I will be faced with the same stuff, but I feel like another thing is that my videos aren't monetized. See, I say how I feel. I talk how I want to talk, and I don't have that YouTube dangling a carrot over in front of my eyes. Like, the carrot is the money, the monetization. They can't do that with me. See, because I already came in knowing that the stuff that I talk about, my videos, every video be demonetized. I ain't got to say, the R word or, I ain't even got to say delete or anything like that. Just the stuff that I talk about alone is dangerous enough. It is. Because that's why they keep you distracted. That's why they keep you distracted with sports and, the entertainment industry and the rap beefs and stuff like this. All of this stuff is distractions. These high profile court cases, all of this stuff is distractions, to keep you from really see what's going on, from really seeing what's going on. Is that, and what's going on is America knew that those people over in that false state that America and Britain had a hand in creating, they knew that those wasn't the people, and they've been sending billions and of our tax dollars over there. That's illegal. That's illegal. This country has been moving illegally. And that's why they keep you glued to the NFL and the NBA. So that's just a pacifier to pacify you. And unfortunately, it works. But my heaven is going to be the day that the heterosexual man who knows everything about the Pittsburgh Steelers and LeBron James knows everything about him. Can't know everything about them, but can't even remember his own kid's birthday. But can tell you everything about them. My heaven is the day when they find out that their professional sports is rigged. Yeah, remember when you lost that $200? It was rigged, dummy. And they're going to get so mad. They're going to get so fucking mad. But once again, because these people are mindless, they're mindless. They're not going to even think, oh, maybe I should take some self-accountability. There's people out here saying this shit is fake. There's people out here saying this shit is rigged, but I ain't want to pay attention. Got the NBA dudes walking out in front of everybody, grabbing another man's crotch. Right in front of everybody, just like you got some of your favorite rappers kissing right on stage. But you heterosexual men, you turn a blind eye because they got money. And you want money like them. But you see, what I don't get about you is you turn a blind eye so much as if you wouldn't have to do the same shit that they doing. If you was to get to their level, they would have you doing the same exact stuff, but you don't want to see that because see, you just want to get there and you just want to get the money. Oh, I know I had to do that. What you mean, dummy? What you think you special? You think you Mufasa or something? You think you special? No, you got to do the shit too. You got to do the rituals too. See, you wanted to sit up here and act dumb like some dumb ditzy bimbo blonde. Oh no, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what's coming next. Nigga, you're about to go into the boom boom room. That's what's about to happen, dog. You're about to go into the boom boom room. But you want to act like, oh nah, you know? You want to try to be oblivious to it. No, but you got to do them same rituals. In order to get to where the one dude is at that's crazy and everybody call him crazy, you got to take your mama out too. Because that's what he did. And they put this stuff all in your face and you just turn a blind eye to it. Because that's how desperate some guys really are. And it's a lot of them that's like that. It's a lot of them that's like that. And women are too. You know, y'all been desperate since welfare. That's why you was the first one to take the buyout. And I've talked about that on previous videos, and I stand on that. You know, the white man gave black women and black gay men an opportunity, you know, gave them a pass to navigate. You know, and I'm not saying that black gay men didn't work hard and go to school. I'm not saying black women didn't work hard and go to school. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that to discredit, you know, your success. But also you have to realize you had some help. And it was for a reason. I thought about this earlier today, you know. It's unfair for women in general. I don't care if you're black, white, native, Hawaiian, I don't care, blue, green, yellow. It's unfair to a woman that her people can be taken captive and the men to be killed and she'll have to be used to give birth to other nations of children against her will. You know, that's unfair. But you have to realize that's why y'all not taken out. That's why, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you can clown black men at the, you know, all you want to, but you have to realize you're not the most disrespected and the least protected that you know, like you think you are. Nah, black men have had a bigger target on their back than you. Because when it comes down to it in war, you'll be taken captive. You'll still have your life. You might have to give birth to white babies. You might have to give birth to Asian babies, but at least you'll be alive to do it. Black men, on the other hand, that's not the case because the black man is the progenitor. See, you can create, black women can create Asian babies. See, white women can create, you know, an Asian baby with an Asian man if they were taken captive. Women, if they're taken captive, they will be used. And some, you know, sometimes that's not the case, but majority of the time throughout history, that's been the case. But that black man, he has a target on his back to be influenced, turned into a feminine, masculine presenting thug that's prime and ripe for the private prison industry. See, black women don't have that kind of target on their back. Yeah, it's black women in the prison system, but not as much as black men. See, black women were selected to elevate themselves to elevate other races. And the black man was selected to be cattle and to be made money off of. See the difference? That's why when they stop and frisk, it's often a black man. There are more black men that have been murdered unarmed than there are women. Something to think about. And if you made it this far, I really do appreciate you. Um, I'm just doing this because this is a me getting everything out, you know, and I know older people would be like, you know, you shouldn't put all your business out there. You shouldn't. No, you know what? This is how this generation and, you know, generations that came after it, this is therapy. This is helping somebody else. Because like I said, maybe Keisha and Taekwon, maybe they might, you know, see the video and they might laugh and they might not, you know, listen. But maybe Reggie, maybe he might need it, you know. Maybe Reggie might need it. You know, maybe Jason might need it. So, you know, you never know. No, I'm not TD Jakes, or I'm not, you know, Creative Flow $1. You know, I'm not Conscious Lee, or I'm not Funky Dineva. You know, I'm not none of these people. You know, I'm John. I'm Savage. That's who I am. And that's who I can only be myself. You know, you know, it's no shade to nobody, but I won't be putting on wigs and shit like that to get people's attention. Because to me, honestly, and this is just my perspective, and this is not me swinging on anybody, I really think that black women will be quick to say that ain't no men, ain't no black men, but you only pay attention to a black man if he put a wig on. A lot of y'all is like that. You only pay attention to a man when he's dressing up like you, when he's acting like you, when he has your mannerisms. And I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. You know, I've had female friends in the past. I've talked about this before. I don't befriend, you know, I don't befriend girls today. I don't. And my message to young gay men, stop running around with all these damn girls. Stop running around with these girls. Because they not going to have your back, you know. And then, too, when they meet they man and they have to choose between they man and you, they're going to choose they man. Because they was designed to love. They was designed to be loved and to love and be loved, and you know, that whole type of thing. So they're gonna go with their match. They're gonna go with that penis every time. Okay? And they will shade you. They will do things that you didn't even think that they was capable of, you know, to you. And then don't get one and in some weird capacity they become jealous of you, and you know, I don't know. It's weird. I've faced it though. I've been through it. So no, I don't hang around no girls. I am a proud, friendless person. Cause I've been down that road with so-called friends, you know. I've had friends and I've let them stay at my place, you know, and then wanna, you know, ain't kicking in on no rent, ain't helping with nothing. But then wanna turn around and got all of this to say when you begged me to stay. You begged me to bring you back to where I was at. I've been through it. I have been through it. Y'all don't know. Y'all have no idea, man. I've been begged. Sis, please. Please, sis. Please. I've been begged, bro. But then when a bitch get on their feet, when they get to, you know, thinking they good, they don't never, I ain't never asked you for nothing. Like, what? I've been there. And I said, never again. Never again. Never again. Never again. Never again. So, people can think whatever they want to think about me. No, I'm real. I'm too real for a lot of motherfuckers. And it's a lot of hurt people that's walking around, and they want yes men. They don't want to take accountability for the stuff they do. And they want to dump on me. And I'm not taking it. I'm good. I'm good. I would rather be by myself, alone, not even with pets, because I don't do the pets. I'm good. Than to be sitting up and miserable in friendships and relationships. I'm good. I don't need it. I don't. So I don't know. I really honestly, you know, I didn't expect, like I said, I didn't expect to get anything out of this, because you have to understand what I talk about. There are people that I did want to reach out to. Like, I wanted to reach out to T.S. Madison. I did. But I didn't want to, I didn't want her association with me. If we was to get cool, I didn't want her association with me to jeopardize anything for her. Not saying that it could, but I'm just saying what I talk about ill-ish people. I talk about them. And I talk about how black people are the real Jews. And, and sometimes guilty by association. You can ruin stuff for people just because they cool with you. I found that out too. So, yeah, I've been there, stuck my neck out on the line for somebody, and because everybody was against them, and was the only friend they had, could call on and everything else. And then so I don't know, something shifted, and now all of a sudden people liking them again, and now it's fuck me. So I've been through it. I know how it feels. And but stuff like that, it only make you stronger. It only make you stronger. It only make you wiser. Um, like I said, I'm today who I am today. There will be no, staying with me and stuff. No, we ain't doing that. But what did I expect to get? Like I said, I never knew what I could get, so, that's how I approached it. It was a lot of things that, I didn't know about YouTube or social media and stuff like that. Cause see, yeah, I am my age. I'm in my late 30s, but I miss Vine. I miss that whole era. I miss the Vine, and all those platforms around that time frame. I missed all of that, because my videos, what you see, that's what I was doing. Not shooting the actual videos, but I'm talking about the information that's on the videos. I was learning. I was learning. So, I always been kind of out the loop, especially like when it comes to gay culture and stuff like that. I've always been out the loop. So, you know, um, I knew that, I wouldn't have like a funky Dineva following, or, a lovely T following, because what I talk about is the truth, and people don't like to hear the truth, you know. And it just goes to show, the mindset that we have as a people today. We love gossip. We want to run to the gossip and want to see who's home getting foreclosed on. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I always say, black folks, They don't want the truth. They just want to be mad. You know, when these lynchings happen, they just want to be mad. They don't want to get to the root of why this keep happening. They just want to walk around and ask the question, why do they hate us? Why don't they like us? They don't want the answer though. Nope. This is what I learned. They don't want the answer. They just want to be able to ask the question and be mad. You know, they don't want the truth. They don't want to know the truth because a lot of people don't want to change. They don't want to do the work. You know, they just want to be victims because yes, we have been through things that made us victims, but we've also done wrong and we did wrong to God. And that's why we in this situation that we are in and we don't want to face that. You know, so I knew that, you know, I wouldn't have the massive following or, you know, the massive support system. And, you know, and then it seemed like every video that I would put on TikTok, you know, I only got one more strike with TikTok, and then my TikTok account is gone. But for the life of me, I be seeing these people go live on TikTok. I be seeing them go back and forth, you know. And yeah, if it get too hot, you know, they will ban them, you know. But I'm saying my stuff ain't even, you know, it ain't even hot for real, you know. But it seemed like anything I put up, they was banning left and right. I was getting bans left and right. So I kind of, you know, I never really took off on TikTok. And everybody always be talking about the algorithms and stuff like that. I don't know about none of that stuff, man. I mean, I know I've heard about it, but I don't, you know, um, I just create videos like this and I post it, you know, and hopefully one day, you know, somebody will come across. Like I said, that's and another reason why, you know, my comments are disabled because I knew that, you know, I'm not a funky Dineva. Like I'm not afraid to hear anybody else's opinions or anything like that. But at the same point in time, you sat in church for years and you didn't raise your hand and question them, you know, so why don't I get the same treatment? I ain't even asking for your money. You ain't even paying me nothing. So, you know, you have to understand, I've heard the majority of people's perspective. Okay? Because see, when you not a part of the majority, you're an outsider. So you get to look in on the majority and you see their excuses that they're going to use. I've been doing this now for a long time. So, you know, I always get that I'm a know-it-all. I think I know everything. No, it's just that when you've been getting the same question just in a different way, you pretty much become good at answering the question because a lot of the church folk that had the same questions, their arguments be the same, you know. And so over the years, it's like being a lawyer, being in the courtroom. When you first start out as a lawyer, you might not be a good person that argues. You might not be good at arguing, you know. But over time, you know, with experience, especially, you know, when the laws is the same, and you know, and over time you get to know the people that you are debating. And you know, like for instance, a lot of people, they run a Colossians 2:16. You know, a lot of people run a Paul. You know, and every time they do that, I just over the years I've thrown out Matthew 5:17 through 19 so much that, you know, it's just one of my things that I go to. You know, there's a little list of scriptures that I just use every because it's like Christians, a lot of them believe, you know, the same, you know, and so it's easy to debate. That's why atheists don't have such a hard time with most Christians because most Christians are unlearned. They are. And they get mad at you, you know, for it's like They didn't know that they was unlearned. Like for instance, I'll never forget I got into it with this lady because she was embarrassed. For real, for real. She was embarrassed that um I showed her up, and we was in front of people. She got embarrassed. You could literally feel the vibe. Like she got embarrassed. We was talking about Esther, and I was telling her, I said, you think your book is complete, but it's actually not. Um, Esther is not complete, and this is how I know people don't read their Bibles at home. So she goes to Esther 10, and she was like, it's trying to say it is complete. Baby, I pulled out the Esther editions, the rest of Esther, opened up to chapter 10 and started at verse 4. Her mouth hurt. She was so shook. Like, this is the rest of the story. Look, and it aligns with what's in your 66 books. Next thing you know, I'm all kind of faggots and everything else because she was embarrassed. And rather than say, hey, I'm wrong, she resulted in calling me names. A lot of you Christians are like that. A lot of y'all are like that. But then again, I have to remind people, these are the same people whose organization did the Spanish Crusades. They had a hand in the transatlantic slave trade and slavery. These are the same people. Lied about the color of Christ, went forth and then changed the color of Christ even. Lied about the true day of worship. It's the Sabbath day. It's the last day of the week. You know what I expected? So I just told you what did I expect to get out of this, but what do I expect to get out of this? To hear the Most High say, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you because you fought the good fight. You fought. Everybody was against you. And though there were times when you walked away, you came back. You picked up and you picked your cross back up, you carried it. And congratulations. Oh yeah, and this too. I am so over the fact that God would not answer my prayer about him opening up the ground to swallow only 38 people on my small list. He did it for Moses when Korah came against him, so I know he can do it again. I told God that I am even willing to make a compromise. I'm cool with him bringing them back to life even, but I just want to be standing there, away from the swallowing, of course, when he opens up the ground to swallow them and then bring them back to life. When he brings them back to life, I will say, yeah, bitch, and walk away. I still haven't heard anything back from God about this. Maybe it's because a few of them are too fat, which I'm sure the earth will be grateful because the earth doesn't like carrying a lot of tubby ass oink oinks on itself. But I digress. That thought did lead me to another question. Is hell even going to be large enough for some of these tubbies? Because I know of some big bitches. And I gave the scripture when it happened. 250 men compared to my small list of 38 people that no one will really miss anyways. 38 people is not a lot of people. Anyways, new vids coming soon. So, and then, a bunch of pictures of me. See, I'm very attractive. I love myself. I think I'm very beautiful. There's no insecurities over here. And I'm not stuck up. I don't think I'm better than nobody. You know, I just told you I ain't no cashy type person. But I also know that I look the fuck good. Okay? I'm beautiful. Can't nobody make me, and I'm sorry, maybe, I'm just realizing my worth, within the last, you know, 5 years or so. But baby, I know it now. I know it now. And I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, John. I'm looking at this picture and I'm pointing to it and I'm talking to it. I'm proud of you, boy. I'm proud of you. Because you held on, you fought the good fight, you know, and when you had to stand by yourself, you stood by yourself, you know. So I know y'all see my little bags under my eyes. I got them honest. I got it honest because there was a lot of long days and nights. It reminds me of that movie about my life. The movie where I had to have the highest bidder for my Mizawage. I always joke like that, man. I always make little jokes like that. I always allude to like the movie Memoirs of a Geisha. I always allude to that being a story about my life. But no, actually, I grew up a lot like Matilda. I grew up a lot like Matilda. My dad especially was like that. My mom wasn't so much like how Matilda's mom was, but she was there. Just in a black way. Just oblivious as she can be, but I love her, but that's just the truth. I grew up like Matilda, so and Kevin McAllister, Home Alone. Yep, a mixer of those two kids. That's how I grew up. But besides that, I want to hear the Most High, acknowledge that I did try. I tried. I tried to, you know, um, I tried to warn my people. I tried to tell people, and people just they not gonna understand until it's too late. A lot of people not gonna understand. They just had this whole rapture crazy thing. Man, I have videos on the rapture. I have videos. On damn near everything, you know? And I have over 220 some odd videos, and just telling people the truth. I had nothing to gain. I had nothing to gain out of lying to you. I had nothing to gain from that. I ain't asking you for no money. So, I don't know. There was nothing to, nothing of monetary value to gain, but just giving people the opportunity to hear the truth, giving women the opportunity to hear the truth without some Hebrew dude trying to sleep with them and make them join a pack of wives. There ain't nothing like that here, and keep your money, pay your bills. That's my whole lesson, well, part of it in tithes. When I talk about tithes, pay your bills. God own all the silver and gold in the world. He got precious stones that we've never even laid eyes on, as if he need anything with our money. That's a scam. Tithes being money is a scam. In this video, Nothing. I would never do no type of harm to myself. I ain't cut like that. And I don't have no judgment on people who do that, because people don't know, man, when you by yourself and you in darkness, and them demons is surrounding you and trying to influence you, and they ganging up on you, that's a pressure that, not even the most holiest Christian could understand, and um you read about it and see, you'll think I'm crazy when I say stuff like that, but this First Kings 22 verse 19, when he said, "Hear thou therefore the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him on his right hand and on his left. And the Lord said, Who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead?" And one said on this manner, and another said on that manner. And there came forth a spirit and stood before the Lord and said, I will persuade him. And the Lord said unto him, Wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all of his prophets. And he said, Thou shalt persuade him and prevail. Also go forth and do so. See? This kind of goes along with the line of me telling you, I'm not perfect. I don't know everything, and I don't know it all. I probably know more than the average Christian, but that's only because I study and I read the Bible. I mean, when I research something, I make sure it aligns with the Bible. I have lessons, I have videos. I mean, this is what I do. Me doing these videos, showing you what I am into. I tell people about Christianity and different religions and how they were started and stuff like that. And I'm not your savior, nor am I trying to be. I'm not your pastor. I don't want to be an apostle, a bishop, a pastor, or a deacon. And guess what? You don't have to be any of those things to talk about the Word of God. You don't. You know. Um. I'm not. I don't believe in women being in an authority over a man in the church. Like, I don't believe in women pastors leading the church. And, I don't believe in, not saying that they can't, not saying that there are some who can't, because there are some who can. But if they definitely got the Juanita bind that whole spirit, because she a hoe that need to be bound. They got that Jezebel spirit, that scam artist spirit, then no, it's not good, you know. But I don't want to be an apostle, a bishop, a pastor, or a deacon. That was never my goal. I don't want a church. I don't want to start a business. Well, I don't want to start that kind of business, let me say, because I have a business. I sell oils. I sell oils and soaps, so I have a business, you know, but I don't want to do that. So I'm good on that. What's next for me? I don't know. You know, I truly don't know. I don't know what God has in store for me. I don't know, what's next. I'm grateful for today. I'm grateful for what I have. I'm grateful for where I'm at, And speaking of that, I know a lot of people were losing their jobs and, for what they were speaking about. And a lot of people were happy that people were losing their jobs because of what other people, they called it celebrating somebody's death, which is, it's a crock of BS. Because yes, you did have people out there that were cheering that on, but I don't want to see anybody uh taken out like that. I don't. I don't want to see that. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, because I know what it feels to find a loved one on the ground. Your whole world change, and even the people that was out there that day, they, even the ones, even if they didn't love him, that's still a grotesque thing to watch, and it will change you. And so, no, I'm not happy about that. I'm not happy that, he was taken away from his kids or nothing like that. That's just the humanity, but I can't help but notice that when it's on the other side, you know, like these two Minnesota senators who were actually senators, who were actually um, people in the government. Not too much sympathy was there for them. Not too much condemning was going on with the person who did it either. Not too much condemning from the side of the person who did it. You had President Dump who wouldn't even want to call the governor. So I can say that the majority of it was people trying to silence people from even speaking about it. There was a woman who lost her job from just describing what happened. She didn't say nothing bad, nothing hurtful or anything. She just described the situation. She lost her job. That is unfair. That is unfair. It's unfair. And you're only going to laugh about it until it's a topic that hits your front doorstep. When that topic hits your front doorstep, and I'm saying it's a topic that you care about, that you don't agree with, when the pendulum swings back your way, you know, let's say, okay, let's use, y'all like to talk about Democrats and transgenders. Okay, let's say a transgender, a Democrat gets in office and they go, full blown for the transgenders, and you can't speak about them and you can't say nothing, and, forget your kids. And pretty much they ain't saying that, but that's basically what they're saying. And if you speak out about it, you lose your job. It won't be funny then, will it? It won't be funny. I'm thankful that I still have a job. But let me tell you like this. Let me tell you like this. Baby, I live by this code. You can have your company, policies, you can have your mission statements, you can have all of that. And I do, and I agree, and I adhere to all of that between the hours of such and such. When I am off the clock, I am my own person, okay? I wouldn't have removed nothing from my social media. And I won't. I won't. Because it is my God given right to speak. It is my First Amendment right. If I'm not going out here and I'm not physically harming nobody, I'm not taking from nobody, I'm not, only thing I'm giving is giving my opinion and my facts that I have. And I'm not harming nobody. I am not radical. So if a company can't get with that, whatever company, then hey, I guess we'll have to part ways. You know? Because I'm going to tell you like this. The Most High is going to cover me. The Most High is going to protect me. The Most High is going to make a way for me. The Most High is going to establish me. The Most High is going to elevate me. The Most High is going to show me grace. The Most High is going to show me mercy. The Most High is going to be a shield. The Most High is going to be a buckler. The Most High is going to keep his word, because he always have and he always will. I'm here today because God never left me. Am I where I want to be? No. I'm not. I'm not where I want to be. No. But am I proud of where I'm at? Yes. Yes. Because I wasn't even supposed to make it this far. Y'all don't understand. I was supposed to be some Cinderella type servant where everybody can come and dump their shit on me and blame me for their problems and, and look down on me and use me as a doormat. That was supposed to be my life. Be there to take care of mom, take care of dad, because, hey, I don't have any kids, and it doesn't matter that these people never supported me. Never, maybe here and there for my mom, but for the most part, no. But that's okay. Hey, forget all of that because, doesn't matter what you think or feel. These are your parents. You're supposed to do, these are your brothers and sisters. Well, I don't think like that. I don't. And if I have to stand alone, I will. Because I already have been. It's like they don't want me to recognize, like, that I've been doing this, that I've been my own support system, that I've been my own cheerleader. It's like they want to put me through it, right? But they don't want me to recognize anything. It's crazy. Like, y'all the ones that's crazy, not me. Because I recognize fully what's going on. And in the end, you gonna be sorry. Because I am not Joseph. I am not Joseph. You got the wrong J-O. I'm not Joseph. It's a H that come after that O, followed by an N. And I ain't like John the Baptist. I'm more like John the Revelator. Because I'm going to reveal some stuff to your ass. I'm going to reveal some things to you. And touch your spirit. And you ain't going to like it. So, I'm a little different. Being in quote unquote isolation or, no contact with your family, it will make you become what others call hard. It'll make you become hard. And I am hard, but I'm not so hard that my heart is hardened completely. No. My heart has just healed up and I'm wise enough to know, like, I'm not going back that route. I'm not going back that route. I'm damn sure ain't going back that route. That those three routes: family, so-called friends, so-called lovers. I'm good. I have everything I need to build my kingdom. Okay? And prepare for the kingdom to come. That's coming. Because that's what this is all about. We are on the brink of the downfall of the white man. And by that, I mean we are on the brink of seeing this civilization as we know it go bye-bye. And one thing that I know for sure is that I did everything. I did everything I could to tell people, to warn people about what's coming, about who we are. But like the many prophets that have came before me, people would not listen. And see, that's the signs. Like people think, oh, a real prophet is somebody that look like T.D. Jake and have his stature. You would gag. Even if the disciples was here right now, they would be more so on my level. They would fraternize with me, you know. They would fraternize with me before a lot, because they don't participate in paganism. That's gonna cause a big mess right there. It'll be so many black men running to Paul, but then as he's mixing and convening with them, brother, you eating pork? Oh no, that's against the. But Paul, I thought you said in Colossians 2:16. No, what did Christ say in Matthew 5:17 and 19? Oh, you sound like my family. He always say that. A lot of people gonna gag. A lot of people is. A lot of people, especially in these churches. In these churches, and I say it all the time. Before you get mad and go off on these pastors, you need to sit there and take some accountability. Why did I stay at the church that welcomed a man back in that scammed his church members for $3.6 million, the elderly ones at that, over some weak bonds that were worthless? You know, why did I continue to watch Create a Flow of Dollars after this man came out and told me that he was wrong about tithes and to throw everything that he ever taught about tithes away? But I just wouldn't do it. I sat there and I continued to drink the Kool-Aid. You really need to take some self-accountability, because on the day of judgment, you will. See, when you stand there, ain't gonna be no, oh, no, see, because pastor told me. No. Nope. You're not getting in on pastor's accord. You know, and salvation is a gift. Salvation is a gift. But you have to understand, when you one of them holy rollers calling yourself God's girl and all of this crap, you have to understand, you've put yourself at a higher level. You've put yourself, you calling yourself God's girl, right? Well, why, if you God's girl, why you eating pork? If you God's girl, why you celebrating paganism? If you God's girl, you know, why are you out here fornicating? If you God's girl, why are you out here doing all these things that go against God? And then got the nerve to call yourself God's girl and have all this stuff to say about Jamal Bryant taking up for black people and condemning this CK situation. And I'm gonna talk about that in another video. I might have so this video is gonna come after that video. So by the time I post this, that video will already be done. So, but I've talked about that, and I'm not a fan of Jamal Bryant. Let me put that out there because I have went in on that man. Call him a false prophet and stuff like that. But that's because of the doctrine of the Sunday worship doctrine, the resurrection doctrine, which is Christ did rise, but he did not rise on Sunday. Christ was placed in the tomb on Saturday. He rose on Tuesday. And a lot of the doctrines that came from the Roman Catholic Church. So, but I ain't gonna, this is a 3-hour video, and I feel like I've said pretty much everything that I needed to say. And if I didn't, hey, I'll come back and I'll say more, This is not the end. It's not the end for me. I am taking a break, but I'm taking a break to get my next batch of work together so I can present it. Because I've only posted a few chapters, My goal is, to eventually to have the book on here, pretty much. So, and this is my legacy. This is my legacy, though it may not be, popular yet. It will be, and I have the faith for that. And I thank you for your support. I thank you for your love. And yeah, man, I said what I said, This is who I am. I've shown what I believe in, and I know that, most of the time, most people, they gonna formulate their opinions. You could have 1 + 1 = 2 right in their face. But if they want to believe it's 3, they gonna do whatever, say whatever, and think whatever to get it to that point. So I do know that, and I do understand that. So for the ones who have ears, and for the ones who have eyes, let them hear and let them see the truth. And I love you, and I hope you have a blessed and peaceful life, longevity, blessings, abundance. That's what I speak over my people. That's what I speak over myself. And never be afraid to stand by yourself. Never be afraid to stand by yourself. It's nothing wrong with being your own cheerleader. Because sometimes, that's all you gonna have. Is physically, is you. So, with that, I hope y'all enjoy. It is now 1:12, and I gotta get ready for work. And I gotta get ready to go to bed because I gotta work in the morning. Well, later on today. So, y'all have a blessed one. You hear?